Good afternoon, everybody. This is Steve Giordano here from Photo Finale. Thank you for joining us. Also on the phone is Rachel Van Tassel. I see we only have a few members. I think most people sign up to make sure they get the recorded version. But I'm going to give it just another two to 3 minutes for people to log in and join us. So I'm going to put it on mute for a minute. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes for other attendees, and then we'll get started. Thank you. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome again to the Photo Finale 12.0 review, which will go over some of the features of Photo Finale's standard platform and also our new platform, the Proofing Gallery. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is, hopefully everybody can see my screen. We have 3 major versions of Photo Finale websites that we are promoting to dealers right now, and they've been gone through a series of revisions in the last 3 months to really improve the SEO and Google Analytics, to improve user workflow, so the user can get through the site a little easier, a little faster, and also aesthetics to make sure that it's a little more pleasing. And last but not least, to drive additional sales. So what we see here is our Photo Finale Enterprise system. This is a multi-page site that is fully responsive in design. So if you notice, what that means is, if I take the browser, and I was to resize the browser, no matter what size the screen is, the site will work appropriately for that screen. So the site takes care of itself. Now this is to include, if I were to hit F12, it'll show you what it looks like on different phones. So now you can, the site is perfectly viewable on all phones, and all products work appropriately with the different phones and systems. So basically the idea is that what we changed is the customer now, as soon as they log in, they have 2 options that have become much more popular. One, which is just upload an order. Somebody wants to come to your site, they want to get into it, they want to start ordering quickly. And then the second thing that we made more prominent is the search button. Search within the Photo Finale system is up over 110% this year alone, over last year. And I think it's going to continue to grow that way, because this is the way customers really shop on every website. You don't go to Amazon and browse kitchen and bath to find a microwave. You go to Amazon, you type in microwave, and then the kitchen and bath will show, the microwave will show right up as soon as you hit search. The same thing happens here. Your search button is something that's vital to the success of your organization, make it easy for consumers to find things. So a big part of what we've done is we reorganized the header to make it work a little better and more consistent. They can always find out where to shop. We've called out prints and prepaid plans, and then creative, and then classic or shop items. And these are merchandise items, which are new in the 11.9 version, and also still available in 12.0. And those are things like classes. We have all the IPI classes preloaded for you, so customers can go ahead and register for a class right there online and choose a site. Obviously, we need to update our dates here. It's no longer April. Customer can also register for services like cameras and classes and passports and drones and whatever else they do. So this is the Photo Finale Enterprise site. It also comes with very robust pages for consumer merchandising and shopping. So if I was going to go into the Canvas page, you would go in, you would see what it does with Canvas and so on and so forth. So then here you go into Canvas, you have a nice page that will show you the options that you can choose, and when you direct link into it, it'll launch right into that product immediately. So the idea is that it's a full merchandise site, multi-page, good SEO, good analytics, but also a very good shopping experience. Okay. The other thing we have is the PFSR site, and that is the Silverline site. If you've ever been to Silverline, unfortunately I went to the sandbox. I did not mean to do. Not it. Silverline. Well, if I could type, I could show you Silverline. But essentially, Silverline is a single-page site. So it's much like the Enterprise site, except for it has a single page, which will allow you to scroll and show some merchandising, get the full effect of the responsive design, but not have to worry about all the setup time. One of the hardest challenges we have with setting up enterprise sites is the dealers finding time to work with us to get the site correct. And then we also have a PF custom site, and that's what you're seeing here. And this is what we're doing with the print refinery with IPI. So the PF custom site is a completely custom site designed from scratch to the spec. So we're working with IPI on the print refinery side, and we're working with PhotoSource on the PhotoSource managed system. Then, of course, MailPix and RitzPix and some of the other sites that we have will be a Photo Finale custom. So really, there's a broad range of options available to you. One of the things I want to show you with a customer that's launched with the 12.0 version, a nice brand new website, is Bennett's Photo. What Bennett's Photo did is they had a primary website that was on a different system, and then they also had us for photo ordering, and they found that they were having to pay for two systems, which they didn't really need to, and they found that it was inefficient for management because they had to go one place or the other, and it was also inefficient for SEO and for analytics. So what we did is we came up with a Bennett'sPhoto.com, which is our full system, our full enterprise system, and we added in all the pages that they wanted to have when they wanted to go over non-Photo Finale items. So you could take a look at Bennett's Photo if you want to take a look at how somebody could completely have all their services, including non-Photo Finale services, in their enterprise system and move forward. And this is all included in enterprise. And I think Bennett's did a great job thinking through exactly how they would go forward and design their site. So this ended up saving Bennett's money, creating efficiency for the customer, less clicks to get to ordering, and it's a more beautiful, more responsive, more secure site. So that's a great example of somebody who's taking what most of you guys have, which is a multi-page approach to your brand, and combining it to a single page and making it more convenient for the consumer. Another person that's really taken advantage of our 11.9 feature set that we talked about last time is Bedford Camera. And most of you guys have canvas prints, and you offer all sorts of things like white borders and black borders and mirrored edges and all sorts of sizes. And what you do in most cases is you have a canvas print site, and you'll have, let's see, maybe Bennett's does it, and this is not picking on Bennett, so I apologize. No, Bennett's doesn't do it. Anyway, well, what you'll end up doing is having your gallery wrap here, and then you'll scroll down your black edge, scroll down your white edge, so on and so forth. What Bedford did is they took advantage of our new attribute system. So now when I go in to make my 11 by 14 canvas, I hit next. Oh, I need to upload a photo real quick. I have some photos here. Hold on. How about my wife when I first met her? I'll make her mad. Okay, once you upload the photo, I then drag and drop it. Now I'm ordering, I'm going to add that to cart. And now, instead of choosing it up front, now I can choose my edges in the back end. And this is using our attribute system that we released in 11.9. If you haven't played around with attributes yet, I think it's something you should take a look at and start trying to figure out how it can improve your business. Some attribute examples are like this, edges on canvas. They can be paper finishes for cards, so it can be a linen stock or a card stock. for a folded greeting card. It could be whatever. Currently, the attributes are not priceable, but in an upcoming version, in the 12.1 release, they will be priceable. So you can start to think about how attributes will apply to your production side. So that's another use that somebody's done to move forward with our attribute system from 11.9. Okay. One of the other things that customers were really interested in the they would comment quite a lot about when they were using our system was that they didn't like that when you uploaded photos, the images showed up in the wrong order in the upload window. What I'll do is I'll show you that real quick. Okay, I'm going to order a canvas. Okay. So notice now when I'm in a collection, I can actually sort my collection now, which I wasn't able to do before. So now this is a new feature in 12.0. So now all there's image sorting in the actual tray to develop product. Okay. That includes when you upload into a new collection, it'll show up at the top. So if I click upload a photo here, all right, I'm going to just do an express upload to make it quick. I think there's a weird picture of my daughter here. See, it showed up at the top, so now it's easier to get to. Now that doesn't seem like a big feature, but for those of you who experienced it, that actually is quite an improvement, and it makes it nice. That is a filter. That's not what my daughter looks like. That's her alter ego. It's called Slothjoff, and it's a dinosaur. So now you know a little bit about Lola as well. Okay, so sorting is a big thing. One of the other things I want to make sure that we take a look at with the 12.0 version, as you guys know, we've always had PicMonkey and Aviary, or what's now Adobe Creative Cloud, built into our system. There had been some problems in the past with the PicMonkey editor saving, and I know that was an intermittent thing, and we would say it's fixed, and you guys would say, no, it's almost working all the time, but sometimes there's an issue. Well, we narrowed it down, and it turned out it was because some images with extra spaces in the name were causing an error at PicMonkey's API. We've now identified that issue, and PicMonkey issues are completely solved. PicMonkey has grown quite a bit. If you guys aren't familiar with what they've done lately, they've done some fantastic stuff. They now have a complete layering system, just like Adobe Photoshop does. It's really an amazing system, and if you want to give it a ride and give it a test, it really can help your customers do some cool stuff. But, you know, it does the same stuff it used to do, and when you're done with the product, they'll save it back and go forward. Another thing I'd like you guys to take a look at in your 12.0 version is when you're naming your products, or you're putting products in your system, whether they're canvas or acrylics or books or whatever, make sure you put a robust description. Now, this is a case where I'm going to chastise Bennett a little bit. They need to go back and add robust descriptions for every product, and I'll show you a best practice for that. So if I go into London Drugs, they do a really good job with making sure that they have everything named and ordered correctly. Okay, now watch them not have it in here. Okay, see how there's a description there that's available with the product, and it's a real world description. It's not just archaic typing of keywords. That description is used in all the search windows throughout the entire site. So you can use that description to drive better results for your customers. So if you know that Mother's Day is a popular item for a certain product, you can put Mother's Day in the description. Something like, this is an 11-ounce mug, perfect for Mother's Days and Christmases. That way when somebody goes in and types Mother's Day, they would get a Mother's Day product. Now, obviously there's no descriptions for Mother's Day there, but you want to go ahead and use those descriptions to drive a better experience for your consumers and to drive your search results up. Okay, so those are the items on Photo Finale 12.0 that I wanted to go over. Those are the new items. So nothing earth-shattering there. Those are some pretty neat features that make the site a little more better and allow you to have some convenience for the customer. And we've seen some implementations of the 11.9 features for attributes. Okay, now on to the meat and potatoes of this presentation, which is the proofing gallery, and how you can drive new business to your lab and take business away from smug mugs, more photos, and all of those guys who are stealing printing business from your region. You now have the ability to drive significant revenue in your market. And I'm going to start with this little PowerPoint right here. And we're going to talk about what you want to do first. Why would you sign up, and why would somebody sign up with you for a proofing gallery site? Proofing gallery site is like a smug mug, but delivered through your printing system. The idea is that the photographer keeps 94% of the revenue less the cost of goods sold. The deal with smug mug is 85%, or 15. They pay 15%, plus they pay these exorbitant rates that White House and Bay Photo and others charge through smug mug. So the idea is this: a photographer could order 8x10s from you for $3, right? And they would sell it for $20, and they would keep $16.40 for each image. It would be produced locally. It would be produced quickly, and they'd be able to talk to you on a regular basis. So that's the whole value proposition. The value proposition is more profit for the photographers, more profit for yourself, and a more efficient delivery system for the consumer at the end of the day, because you guys can build those canvases in a very short fashion for these photographers that are locally. Okay? So what do you need to do to get a photographer up and running? All right. The first thing you need to do is figure out how you're going to name the site. Is it going to be Is it going to be Bob's Photo I'm going to pick on Bennett's .bennettsphoto.com, or do you want to use our domain? Is it going to be Bob's Photo at prestigeproofs.com, or are you going to let them have their own URL, just Bob's Photo? So you guys can choose whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, but you need to make this decision up front as you're deciding how to pitch it to the customers. What's your best practice for your store? The next thing you need to figure out is how you're going to do delivery. How's the shipping going to work? Is the photographer going to be allowed to have direct ship to home? Do you support that with a white label shipping from you? Do you only deliver to the photographer directly, or do they pick up in your store? Or does the consumer pick up in your store as a matter of convenience? You need to make that decision up front as you're trying to figure out your value proposition. I like the idea of delivering to the photographer, because then he's in control of completing a quality control before it gets to the consumer. But that's up to you, and each person can make their own decision. The next thing you have to figure out is, how are we going to get this all paid for? The best way, the easiest way, and the way a lot of people are using now, which I'm not a big fan of, is a sub-account can just be an account customer, and the payment option for the customer is to pay in store. In this case, that means that you would be producing all the goods. No credit card payments are transacted on the Photo Finale site. The photographer just picks it up at your store and then charges the customer, and then they pay you somehow. And this is all on account. I don't like this system. It certainly is the least paperwork for everyone, but it doesn't seem to be very accountable, and it's harder to track whether payments are made. And also, you're taking all the risk on the printing. The way that I like it is, you could take that sub account and use your own merchant account and have all the money come into your account, to your bank, and then when the photographer comes by to pick up the prints, you give him a check for the difference between your cost of goods, your revenue share to us, and his profit. So you're in control of the money at that point. And the photographer doesn't have to deal with banks or reconciliation or payments. He's just getting a commission check from you. From their standpoint, they have a website that you're managing, they have printing that you're managing, and they have banking that you're managing. So you guys can really give them a full solution, and these guys don't have to spend any time on it. So I recommend this method, so you're in control of the money. Another way to go is to have the sub-account where the photographer uses their own merchant account. In this case, the photographer collects all the money to their own merchant account, and then they pay you when they pick up the goods, or however they pick up the goods. And that again is a different way. So the advantage of that is the photographer is now in control of the money and the refunds and the consumer transactions. The downside is they're also in control of the flow of the cash. So you have to choose which is appropriate for you. I can see if you have a very high-end photographer that's a good brand you want to grab, maybe you give them that option. You could also have a hybrid model. Each photographer, you have multiple sites, can have different models, so on and so forth. The next thing you need to do is figure out what your wholesale cost is going to be for all your products. Now, don't make your wholesale cost your list price just because you know the photographers are charging so much more than you are for your goods. Find a price that's competitive in the marketplace. You can go online with SmugMug and see what their costs are. You guys probably can get photographers to share what their costs are with other dealers, and you can get an idea. Do you need to discount off your list price? I don't think you need to discount heavily because you're going to give a white glove service to these professional photographers, maybe a better color correction, maybe a better, more attention to detail, so on and so forth. But make sure you have your wholesale cost all thought through before you even bother pitching a photographer. And then the last thing you need to do is make the catalog. And the way I recommend this is to contact our support team, take your existing Photo Finale catalog, and then we'll replicate it for you. Tell us to replicate it. So you'll have another catalog in Lab 50 that won't be live. It'll be your pro catalog. And then go through and price it at list price for photographers. That way, when you add photographers, they don't have to go through and price everything individually. They start with a baseline price, and then they can alter prices here or there if they want. But they're going to be able to control pricing of the end product. They can give some things away. They can lose some things. That's up to them how they price. But if you go ahead and make a catalog, you're probably going to solve 95% of the problems for your photographer partners right off the bat. So those are the 5 things you need to think through before you get started. Okay. So let's take a look at the view-proof system. So here I'm looking at Photo Finale Enterprise. Photo Finale Enterprise is a demo of our enterprise system. And over here I have this view-proofs button. And it kind of looks like it's built into the same site, but actually if you look at the URL, it's actually a sub-account for the Photo Finale demo system. So that's the way it's going to work for you guys. You can link from your main page if you have your own event sites, or you cannot. But it is a full, distinct, what's called a PFSR hybrid site. What they're going to get is simply a banner. They're going to get the header, and they're going to get their own footer. If they're not going to have a lot of customizations out of the gate, they can upsell themselves into any of our systems, PFSR or PF Enterprise, through you. Of course, you're the dealer. But that would be a fee base. But just to get started, it'll be they'll get a site that looks like this. And the way it works is easy. Their site can work as a standard Photo Finale site where people can order products right off the bat. Okay, but this is only in guest mode. There's no membership available in this type of system. So they can use their photography sites to just order their own products. Maybe they're doing product samples. They don't want to create an event for the product sample. Or they have customers who just want to order something quickly and they're willing to pay the rate through the photographer. People can go ahead and order through that site. So it is a standard Photo Finale site in the respect that you can order all the products. However, it's got this new view proof section. Okay? And what this does is it shows all the events that the photographer has uploaded. Now, these don't have to be events. They can be studio shots. They can be business shots. They can be school photography. Whatever the setting is, it doesn't really matter. Once they get in this page, they have a search section where they can type something in, like Schenken, right? And then they can see the Schenken portraits, and they can go in. Portrait sitting can have a password at the main part, or it can be unlocked. So you see that? One was password protected and one was not. Okay, I'm going to go back to where I was. So you can also have watermarks. See, the watermarks even show up in the thumbnail here. One of the other options you have, and I don't have a demo of it, so I have just a screenshot of it, is you can have the thumbnails obscured, and this is by catalog. So what that does is makes a blurry version. Maybe people don't want their pictures online. They can just have obscured images instead. Okay, so that's an option if you wanted to have it. Okay, so let's go take a look at there was a wedding here. Where is it? Lewinsky wedding. Okay, so once I come into the album, it works just like any other Photo Finale site. Customers can come in, they can look at the photo in large view. Notice that the watermark is on every image. Also notice the download option is disabled. There's no downloading, okay? And the customer would just go through and order just as if it's a standard Photo Finale site. Kind of a best practice for weddings or events is to kind of separate the events out into different categories, as you see here: reception, ceremony, reveal, prep, okay? But one of the neat things about our system is every single section here can be password protection. So maybe the prep part, they wanted to have this password protected, but the main album not password protected. That's another feature of our system to allow levels of password protection. to make it so that some things are live, some things are not live for everybody. Okay, so that's a nice little feature. And the beauty of our system is that they can go in at any point and create any product from your catalog using their, looks like we haven't linked through all the items there, but they can use the standard catalog and they can go through and now order things with that event that they've logged into. Okay, so I'm just going to do a collage. Obviously, we need to do more setting up here for PF photography, but now you see I have my event here. So not only can I make a photo book of this thing, the customer can roll out their own posters, canvases, acrylics, greeting cards, thank you notes, what have you. Everything that you offer in your catalog will now be available to every photographer and for every bride, groom, bat mitzvah, retirement party, whatever that happens through that photographer site, they can now create any of those products. So another great use case for this system and the way it works is imagine, hey Rachel, Slack me the password for this thing, if you have it. Okay. Let's see. Password for Shankin family portraits. Do you have that, Rachel? So while Rachel's getting me that, there was a question that came through. Can you have different pricing per event? The answer is no, you can't have per event, but you can have multiple types of proofing sites. So you could have your sports photography site, a wedding photography site, and a corporate photography site. Okay. There you go. I'm typing in my password. And notice that now this one has passwords on both levels. Okay. But imagine now a photographer is taking pictures of the Shankin family, and then they come back for Easter. And then they come back for 4th of July or summer. Then they come back for Christmas. And it goes on and on for years and years. Now that mother and father have access to a place where they have professional quality photos, and they can make professional quality photo gifts or products. So that portrait-based photo book becomes really valuable to the family when it becomes a living album that can be connected over time. And each sitting can go through. Now photographers do have relationships with customers, and they can still go through and go forward. So somebody's asking real quick if you can do a screenshot of the photo. Unfortunately, there's no way to suppress screenshotting through Windows or Apple or iPhone or any other product. You can always run it. On an iPhone, you just click the home button and the side button at the same time, and you get a screenshot. That's why you want to make sure you keep watermarks on at all times, and you want to always watermark. If you feel like your watermark isn't big enough, you can make it a deeper, less opaque watermark and protect your images that way. But there's no way to suppress on any system the ability to do a screenshot. All you got to do is somebody would just run the snipping tool from Microsoft, and they could just go through and boom, it's just built into the system. So with all portrait sites, that's true for SmugMug, that's true for everything. There's no way to suppress it. What we do suppress is right-click enabled. So they cannot right-click and download the image. Notice there's no download image. All this does, this is save as, and this saves the code, the actual JavaScript that's running this. It has no access to the secure image at all. So we are right-click disabled in the current system now. So that's our proofing system. You have the ability to have albums that live and grow. They're password protected. They're secure through two types of security, which is watermarking and right-click disabling. And it can have access to your entire catalog. Now, the beauty for you in production is this just shows up in your lab, just like any other Lab 50 order. Okay, so if those of you who do not have a sub-account yet, while that's loading, don't have a sub-account, it just shows up as a sub-account in your Lab 50. So now you can see each one of your photographers as orders come in. You can see their own routing. You can pay attention to them separately. And then we have some best cases for how to do production that we're putting in the wiki right now. But the idea is nothing changes in your lab. You can have as many photographers as you want. And you see here, right over here, it just shows, I don't know what's going on here. My computer is slow. Go too many things. So you'll see right here the sub-account PF Photography is a sub-account of Silverline, and you can see the distinct orders here. So for production flow, it comes into your Lab 50 as is normal. It just shows up as a separate brand. You can have the auto process rules turned on, but you can have it turned off, and it works just like any other production process. So nothing changes from a Lab 50 point of view. Okay, and that in essence is the proofing viewing. That's how customers would use it. Now, some of the best cases we would like to see you do is when you do the searching, right? When I go into view proofs and I do searching, any text in here or the description can be searched on. And so I'm going to show you how we set up an event right now. But with an event, you can actually set up keywords or passwords or item numbers in each event. That way they can just come in and they say 1410, for example, and it'll bring up their event. So they don't have to remember the name or string or anything. It's just a simple number. So you can hand it out on the business card at a wedding. Go to my site, type in the code 345, and then it'll come up with their site. So how do you create an event? Let's take a look at it. Okay. You guys are all familiar with MyLab. MyLab is how the photographer is going to control this. Each sub-account will have their own set of credentials. They'll have access to their own pricing, their own reports, and their orders. So the photographer themselves will be able to go in and turn off products they don't want to use. They can price products however they want to price them. They can track their customers and their orders. Like I can come here and I can type in customers and I can see what did Giordano order. And then I can see, oh, okay, Giordano. Let's see his order history. Oh, okay, this is what Giordano ordered. So they can track everything just like you do, okay? But then they have this added feature called events. And events is how I set up events for the system. And it's fairly straightforward. Hold on, I got a question coming in. Is it possible to purchase a high-resolution download of their file? So currently we don't have a feature where they could purchase the photo right there and have it delivered via email. What you could do is you could turn one of these print products into a digital copy product, and as they order it, it would come to your Lab 50, and then you would deliver it via email or USB stick or however. So they can have a purchase digital copy functionality, but it's not automated the way I'd like it to be right now. In the future, it will be. Right now, it's a little more manual, but it's possible to sell it, and I would recommend selling it if you think it's a good seller for you. All right. So how do we set up an event? It's very simple. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do a new event. Looks like somebody already did an event. Okay. So I can come in here. I can see all my events. I can see the date that they were put in, and I can see their URL. Now, why is this important? This is important because this is the direct URL for this album. Okay. So if I go in there, notice it'll go in when it was switched over. If I typed in owner equals Delinsky wedding, it would go right into that site. So it's a direct URL. That's really interesting because you can put that on business cards with a direct URL for every site. So you can pre-set up an event for a wedding, for example. They can hand out business cards at the table that say, go to this website to check out the images. They'll be available in 48 hours or 72 hours or whatever. And then every guest can go home with a business card for where to get photos of the wedding or the event or the corporate event or what have you. All right, so let's set up a new event. All right, so I'm going to do a new event. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Steve's event. Right? I can give it a description. Now, this is where I want to have a robust description so that people can find what I was looking for. So we say, oh, this is the photo finale Christmas party 2017 code 1234. Okay, so now if somebody searches in any of those strings, they'll be able to find that event in our system. Okay, I want to put a password on this, and the password is just going to be PF1234. Okay, and this is my event URL. Okay, now I can go in. Now I've created my event, Steve event number 1. I'm going to go into my collections, and now I'm going to upload a collection. I'm going to say a new collection, and I'm going to say this is reception. And again, I can give it whatever I wanted to say there. Give it the date. No password on this. What is the watermark? The watermark is just going to be Steve. I want it to be size 42, and the opacity is 50. I'm really cautious about my stuff, right? And I want to go and do photos now. I simply click the photos link. Takes a second over the first time you run it. Okay, upload photos. And go into my pictures. Now, I don't actually have any event photos, so we're going to find something. We're going to take some link photos, and they're going to upload it. Now, when it's uploading, it uploads the full res image, no compression. These are the actual files. These files will never be compressed, or never be resized, and never be resampled. They're always going to be the original image, whatever it is. Some of the best practices for uploading is that we do not recommend that you upload more than 400 images per album, per collection. You can have as many collections as you want, but you don't want your collection to be so big that the customer is scrolling forever. Okay? So now I've uploaded into my collection. Okay. Okay, I've got my collection. It shows what my watermark's going to look like. All right. I'm going to take this. I'm going to set this one as my, I'm going to set my event preview. Right. I can do a change my sort by file name or my newest by oldest, however I want. All right, and then I'm done. Okay, or I can add more. So I'm going to go back to the reception, look at my thing. Okay, now I have 20 photos in there, my opacity all set. I can actually set another collection if I'd like, and then I'm done. So I've now set up my event, and it should be good to go. So I'll see here. I don't know. This is the first demo I'm actually doing when I actually do it live. I don't know if is it actually going to show up in real time. That's the question. Find out. Yep, there it is. Steve event number 1. I've now created my event. I can also search for, you know, what do I call it? Finale? And it'll show in there. See, that was one of the keywords I put in there. I'm going to go in there. Password protected. And I've got my event. Simple as that. Now, here's the real cool thing about our system. SmugMug has some of these features. We've got, I think, a better, faster, more efficient system than they have. It allows you to print through your own print tunnel. You're in charge of the margin. You're in charge of lots of product availability. But one thing nobody else has that you are now going to have is the ability for consumers to add their own photos to a wedding album that they're going to build from that photographer's site. So now I'm going to mix and make a photo book that contains my own personally uploaded images and my professional images. And that's something nobody has. And this is what the world is really like now. All these people love their Instagram. They love their filters. I love my iPhone. I took all these fantastic selfies and all this at the wedding, but I also want that professional shot of the bride kissing, you know, the grandma dancing on the floor and so on and so forth. And our system will now give the best of both worlds. So now when I go in and make that creative canvas or whatever I wanted to make, you can go in and you'll have access to both the professional shots and the amateur shots in the same order. Now those uploaded images, amateur shots, are not going to be saved forever. They're only going to be during this session. They're going to go away. Those are guest mode shots. But now I can literally go through and have a mixture of my pro shots and also of my my amateur shots. And that's something that's a real uniqueness to our system, and I think adds a lot of value to the family event especially. Okay? And that is our proofing system. I think it's fairly straightforward. It's easy to work with. I think it could drive lots of revenue for people. And the idea is that you should get everybody who's printing through SmugMug in your area to print through you. You're more convenient. You can have a better attention to quality and detail. You just got to find out what your value proposition is to photographers. Is it that you're sending them credit? Is it that you are giving good quality control and personal effects? Maybe you give a special surface for them, good pricing, whatever it is your value proposition is. But there's no reason why you can now have the best of both worlds of an amateur photography system and a professional photography system. And you can link the two right through your Photo Finale Enterprise site. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to questions. I'm going to have to open this up on my phone. Okay. Yes, you will have these linked to both. Sorry, yes is not an answer. You guys understand. The question is, can your sites be linked to Instagram and Facebook? Yes, they can be linked to Instagram and Facebook, just like our other sites can, no problem. So you'll have the ability to let customers grab things from Facebook, grab it from Instagram, and then also upload their own photos, and then mix that with professional photography to make a very rich experience on product mix. Are there any other questions? Fire away. Rachel's sitting there waiting. So as you're, oh, well, here we go. Is there a plan to not have this be guest only? So the question is, are we going to have it so that this is not just a guest only system for the Photo Finale Enterprise proofing gallery sites? That's a good question. The problem comes in when somebody has a membership and professional photos and mixing them and keeping track of the digital rights and ownership of images. That's where the problem comes in. So right now, we don't have the intention to add memberships and storage of amateur photography to be mixed with the event photography. That doesn't mean it won't happen. If there's enough demand, we'll certainly look at it. But one of the questions there becomes, how do I keep track of why a customer can download that photo and why they can't download the other one? So it'll go back and forth. A little of the business model on it, we didn't go over that initially. Essentially, every proofing gallery site gets free storage for 90 days, and then the event goes away. So the event's there for 90 days, and after 90 days, it'll retire and disappear. If you go with an extended plan, which is an unlimited storage plan, for $50 per month, the photographer gets unlimited storage as long as they're a member of the site, of your dealer for you. So that would mean that's how the Schenken family portraits, for example, will evolve over time, is they'd actually have to invest in the long-term storage of those images going forward. But if they want no investment, they just want to grip it and rip it and close the wedding and move on and give them 90 days to close, then there's no additional monthly cost to you or to them. There's an upfront fee for a sub-account, which is that we've always had for whether it's a proofing gallery sub-account or another, but there is no added monthly fee to you or new cost to you or the photographer, only if they want to store images. Okay. So the cost for, somebody's asking the cost, which I think we just went over. There's no additional monthly cost unless the storage is something they'd like to have. There is an upfront sub-account fee, which I believe is $250 list price, and the buying groups have a discount off of that. And then for multiple sub-accounts, there's a discount as well. So check with your local sales guy for that, but it'll be no more than $250. It'll be less than that depending if you're a member of a buyer group or not. Can the photographer offer promo codes for early bird specials? Yes, that is something that's possible. The entire functionality of the Photo Finale system is available to your proofing gallery sub-account. However, there is no facility for the photographer to create the promos. This would be you supporting the photographer through your Lab 50. So you would log in to your Lab 50 underneath their account name, and you'd create the promo for them. And in that case, that's a service you could be providing your photographers to woo them away from SmugMug or whomever. So yes, they can do early bird specials and the like. So that's no problem at all with the promo codes, and it's a great value add that you can give your photographers beyond SmugMug. And we intend to have that available in my lab at some point, but not right. There are no yearly fees. This is just a one-time setup fee. That's it. So the $250 maximum fee that you cost per sub account, that fee is a single use, just to get you registered and started. If you do a custom URL, so you want it to be bobsprettygoodphotography.com, there is a $40 fee annually to register the SSL certificates, but that's really for SSL registration, not for Photo Finale. That's to just keep your security model. Any other questions? So one of the big uses of this is going to be to grab the SmugMug users in your local area. I know I've talked to about 5 dealers, some of which are on the line right now. We've already got 3 to 4 photographers signed up in their area just in the 4 days, or I guess we've been launched 5 days now since we launched Proofing Gallery. I think this is going to be a great way for you to drive additional revenue. Really what I'd love to see is some ideas on how the business model is going to work with the photographers. Do you charge the $250 off to the photographer, or do you pay it up front to get their business and then charge it to them over time? How are you guys going to work with that whole system? I'm kind of interested. Yeah, huge fish I caught. Amazing. So any other questions? Oh, here we go. So the question somebody's asking now is, would you guys upload the images or with the photographer? I am recommending that you give the photographer access to their own MyLab so that they upload and manage their own events. They can also then go in and run their sales reports themselves, just like you guys do in MyLab. They have access to customer information, so when Bobby Sue calls them up and says, hey, I ordered something, they can go in and say, let me see if your order's been received, and then see if it's been printed by the Lab 50. Before they call you, they can assure the customer that the order's been received. They can look at the images that they ordered, so on and so forth. So they would be able to say, come in here and say, Giordano ordered something. I could say, okay, what did he order? We can look at the photos and say, okay, I see you ordered these 2 photos, and you're getting ready to go. So I would recommend giving them access to their own MyLab. There's no risk to you. They can't harm your business at all. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. Just make sure the dealer ID is different, which will be, and make sure the passwords are unique, which they will be, because you'll be getting those from us, which will be one of those horrible secure passwords at first. Is the customer able to set up a web splash page to direct clients before they order prints? Yes. So actually, that's what this is. So each photographer sub-account will have their own Photo Finale system with their own branding. They'll have an image here for their photography, so Bobby Sue's photography, and then this image can be a carousel of images, several images that go through, and it's going to be a simple, and then when they click here to view proofs, they can go in, and then they'll have their photo albums. I'm recommending that each photographer should have sample albums at all times so people can see their artwork. So they can just have their nature photo, business photos, wedding photos, samples sitting there so people can peruse them as a preview. So that's how I would recommend the site being set up. But they'll get a site that looks just like this, that'll link into all their products, it'll have their projects, so on and so forth. Okay. Is there a training manual yet? There's not a training manual, there's going to be a series of short videos, and we do have a document written for a photographer how to get set up. Much like most online services, there's not going to ever be a manual. There's going to be a series of web pages that go through and help the customer understand how it all works. But as you saw, it was fairly simple and straightforward. Once they get into Lab 50 and do the first one, they're good to go. Now, I do recommend treating these photographers gently in the beginning as you sign them up. Train them on the system internally. Have a little session with them. The more comfortable they are with your system going forward, the more likely they are to put more jobs up through you. The one thing we do know about photographers is they are cheap. They will move their prints anywhere they can to save cash. So that means you're probably not ever going to get 100% of their orders unless you could become the destination website for them. So making a better, prettier splash screen and making it vital that they work back and forth with you. You don't want them to go to cheapcanvasdeals.com to buy their canvas for a wedding portrait just because there happened to be a coupon code they got through Groupon. You want to make sure that you're having a good relationship with your photographers on a regular basis. All right, so there seems to be a question about how the whole business model works, and I'm gonna go through it one more time, and if it's redundant, I apologize. You basically are going to buy a sub account. So, for example, here's one that just launched a couple days ago. From a customer. I think I spelled it right. Right. So this is a sub account of Photo House. Photo House went out. They have one called Baumgartner Studio. They have another one called BI Family. They have another one called ImageWorks. They launched 3 different studios. These are separate sub accounts that are distinct from their primary brand. They don't have to be connected, or they can be connected. Once you set up that site, you're done. There's no more cost. You set that site up. Then your customer, all you're doing is you're paying rev share going forward after that as people order through your events. It's as simple as that. So you get this custom branding site, and then you go forward. Now, it just so happens that Photo House wanted to launch quickly because they have an event this weekend, and they didn't update the images. They just went with our default image. So they're going to be putting their own images up there shortly. But they wanted to launch quickly for an event they're having this week. But this is the idea. You would have a separate sub-account, and then you would pay one time for that, and then no other fees additionally going forward ever again unless you get sales. So basically, we're both taking a bet on whether or not there's going to be success there for your photographer. We're going to eat the storage, and then they're going to have to take the photos. All right. So if somebody wanted a question somebody's asking is if they wanted photographers to sell their images whenever they want, basically just upload a gallery of photos, and they want it to be up there forever. Yes, then there would be a $50 a month fee to host those stored images. So if you're just hosting a gallery of images, yes, that would be a $50 a month fee because they're going to upload. Hopefully, they're going to upload thousands of photos that are hopefully 50 megabyte and really good resolution, and we'll be storing those going forward, and people will be ordering it. But yes, there is a fee per month for the ability to store images more than just past the 90 days. A question is, the rev share is based on what price? The rev share is based on the list price. So it's 6% of the list price of the product. So whatever it's sold for. So in Buy Family, for example, they're selling prints. They're selling a wallet or say a 4x6 for $7. It would be 6% of $7 would be the rev share. So the rev share is always, for Photo Finale, always based on the sales, not the cost of goods. A question here is about Adobe RGB. The answer is identical to the way it is in our current system. If you upload the full system, full image, which you would be in this case, and there's no image manipulation by Lab 50, meaning you have the print driver turned off and it's just going to a hot folder. In that case, you'll get the original color profile for that image. Now, if the customer puts that image into a rendered product, a photo book, a calendar, whatever, in that case, that image will be transformed into sRGB color space in order to normalize all the images into the same color space as the monitor. So, but if they're just ordering prints and the prints just go to a hot folder, they don't go through Noritsu or what have you, they will be Adobe RGB or whatever the name, the color space they came down as. It'll be sitting there. So that's not a great answer to what you're looking for, to be able to pick the color space for each output product and so on and so forth. But as this system progresses, we will look into that. But right now, if anything's rendered or touched, scaled, or put into a product, it will be normalized to sRGB. If it's not normalized, it'll come out with its original color space. And I know who asked that question. And you live in Vancouver. Okay, anybody, any other questions? So let me give it a couple more minutes. I think if there's anything else I could share about this site. The idea here is we can drive lots of revenue, I think, for you guys and get those printers working more than the hours per day they are currently working. The idea is you guys should be able to run double shifts. I'll ignore the last question. All right. Here's an example of a very large collection. So this is where it gets a little bit unwieldy. So when your best practices for your customers, make sure that they know that we work with large albums. You can have as many images as you want in the album. You can see here, this is 345 images, and it works fine. It scales quickly. It's very efficient for the customer. However, it's kind of hard to look through every photo this way. It's better to break it up into 100 picture increments or some sort of naming convention like that. I actually like the way Rachel did this, because this was Rachel's idea, but I'm going to steal it, of numbering each one of these collections so that they're easier to sort, and then it's easier to track through for the customer. So I like the way this is actually laid out. So this kind of could be a best practice for your photographer customers. Okay, I'll just give it a couple more minutes for last minute questions. Everybody take a look at that. Make sure you guys take a look at how the attributes can work for you in your business to make it more streamlined for the customer. The idea of why Bedford's implemented the attributes was that they had 4 canvas products for each size, and they found their customers were clicking too much, and they wanted a customer to be able to get to starting a canvas and ordering a canvas in 2 or 3 clicks, which is what they have now. So it's a much more efficient system. It doesn't necessarily matter for efficiency on a PC like we're demoing now, but as of this month, 27% of all transactions in Photo Finale were done through the mobile interface. That means from an iPhone or an Android device or a tablet. We think that's going to grow. Some people put numbers out that they think 50% of all transactions this Christmas are going to be done through mobile devices, and that includes all retail transactions. And I think we have to make sure we're prepared for that. So one of the things you do with that is you have to have a site that's beautiful on a PC with lots of information for browsing and shopping, but efficient for the consumer on a mobile device to get through without clicking 1,000 clicks to get somewhere. On the proof software, can you see the creative product info? So yes. So the question here, I think, is can a Photo Finale photography system be as robust as an enterprise system? And the answer to that is yes. It's not free. It doesn't come bundled with the system that way. But you can upgrade any photography site into either our PFSR site, which is a silverline.photofinale, or into our enterprise site, which is a demo.photofinale. You can choose each way to go. Out of the gate, with the built-in system, you're going to get one that looks like this. But if you wanted to add merchandising for products, you can. Now, you're not going to have to repurchase that for each sub-account. So if you had a distinct sub-account look with your basically you want to take your enterprise system and replicate it for all of your sub-account photographers, you can work with our sales department to make that efficient. We're only trying to charge for the work we do. We're not trying to overcharge you and try to increment you on each individual sub-account. So if you said, oh, look, I have a great enterprise system. I like to replicate that for all my photographers. I'm going to have 4 photographers. Call our sales team. We'll work something out for you. We'll make it affordable for the photographer and for you. Because the better the site is, the better we do. And as you know, we make our money on rev share. So if nobody's ordering, we don't make any money. So we look forward to working with you in that regard. Do we take rev share from the photographers or the finisher? We take it from, you are our customer. The photographer is not our customer. We will never have a relationship with the photographer that you are not the impetus of. So we'll work with your photographer if you say, hey, you know, Bob's having a problem here, can you help him out? But normally we're not going to talk to photographers. We bill you and I have a transaction, and all the billing goes between the two of us. Your deal with your photographers is between you and the photographer. You could, for example, say, look, I'm going to host a website for photographers, and I'm not going to charge them any rev share. I'm going to give them instead 30% of the revenue, and I'm going to keep the balance of it. And you're going to hold this infrastructure up. In that case, PhotoFinale has no idea what your deal is with the photographer. We're just charging you our normal rev share on your sales, whatever they are, and we go forward. So we don't have a relationship with the photographers, you do. All right. So we're just about an hour. I'm going to give it one more minute for Rachel to see if there's another question, and then I'm going to bid you adieu. And we're all going to have a great weekend, hopefully cooking lots of burgers and dogs or whatever you like. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you guys for your time today. I really appreciate it. Give your sales guys a call or check us out online, email us, and we'll keep updating everybody as to the progress of the proofing system. I think it's this is the beginning for us. It's only 4 days old, so we don't know everything we're going to know in another couple months. But I think this can be a bright new future for a lot of these labs to repurpose really good equipment and get some good quality into some photographers and start bringing that stuff local instead of sending it through Bay Photo and White House and so on and so forth. So again, thank you for your time and have a great weekend.